Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bloodstained Wings, and you may recall that last month's palette knife painting challenge was a dragon in a forest. Well, I just happened to really like it and thought we should do it again, but this time in purple. I also changed up the dragon as well as added some fantasy kind of lighting because I wanted this to feel much more fantasy than the last one. Even though the last one did feel very fantasy as well, I thought that we would just play around with it and have fun, because why not be inspired by yourself? So if you guys want to paint along, don't forget to bring your palette knife and your oil paints, and let's get started. Hello! Alright, I hope you guys got your paint set out and ready, and that you've prepped your dragon painting. Once again, we are doing this with the gesso base, and if you notice that this A is a different dragon but B is the same concept, that's because I wanted to do this again. I had a lot of fun painting the red forest dragon, which, by the way, ended up like this. So I had a lot of fun painting this, so I wanted to paint this, which is going to be a purple version of that same kind of forest dragon feel. I might be joining the crew of people who think dragons are awesome. That being said, once again, I only drew 2 legs, because legs are difficult. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but legs are difficult. I think I mentioned it in my last one that I was like, legs are difficult. So that's a thing. So this time I have alizarin crimson, quinacridone violet, Prussian blue, and black. And the reason I have those colors is because I'm going to actually try to do this so that it is a purple forest, but I still want it to have that like dull purpliness that we started with. I'm gonna grab some purple. Actually, apparently we're gonna go for a kind of bluey gray because I touched the blue. All right, I made it back to purple. Okay, good. So we're going with like a purpley kind of gray color. And again, we're gonna start with the brush. Everything's basically gonna be the same as the other one in terms of technique. But instead of using the yellows and the reds, we're gonna be using purples. And I thought it might be really fun to show you guys that you can take the idea of a painting and like make it your own, or do your own little like concept on it, and you know, turn it around, make it something else. So in this case, we picked a different dragon, different kind of layout to the forest. This is going to be a pond. Is my plan anyways. My plan for it is to be a pond. Still gonna have like a misty forest dragon, which is the same as the last one. It was a misty forest dragon, but this time it's gonna be all purpley and more magical. You know, maybe the other one is trying to find this one. Maybe this one's trying to find that one. I don't know. If you guys want to make a story for it, you can feel free to do so. Now you guys saw that I started with goop. Always start with the goop. That's just kind of standard to just start with the goop. We're just gonna try to get some of this color going on over here. This ended up being kind of darker than I thought it was going to be. Oh, I hit the camera. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I did not mean to hit you so hard. Okay, so yes, this ended up being a little bit darker than I thought it was going to be. So I might come back and add some white, just to brighten it up a bit. But, ooh, you know what we could do? Since this ended up darker, we could have some fun with light. And we can do that with a palette knife. Let's do it. So I'm going to have some fun with a palette knife already. And we're going to make some like columns of light happen. And then we're going to do like the forest leaves on top of it, and we're still going to have like the mist. But I think that if we do, I might have to highlight the dragon in a specific way, but I'm going to come in like over here and kind of pull down like this. I've got my little roll of paint. You can really see it there. That's my little roll of paint. and I'm just gonna like pull down very gently like that. All right, now using that, I'm gonna just use a little bit of a brush just to soften up the light a little bit by kind of like pulling backwards on it. Following the same angles, being extremely gentle. Extremely gentle. And that's just gonna give us those like lines of light that we're looking for. I'm gonna grab another roll of paint and I'm gonna come in and make this one more dramatic. Yes. That's what we're looking for, just a little drama happening. That's my nails scraping on. Apparently I need to trim my nails. Who knew? But yeah, this is the idea, to just have like this little bit of light kind of escaping from the underbrush. And then I'll come in and highlight the dragon a little bit, but I really like the way that looked. So I just wanted to add a little bit of like texture, a little light. I think that's really fun and I'm really excited by that. I'm still gonna have a little bit of mist around our dragon here. So I'm gonna just smoosh in some mist. I know, for palette knife only, I used a lot of brushes already, but you'll just forgive me that I blended with a brush, okay? You can blend with brushes even in a palette knife only painting. I've decided this. Alright, I am blending with my palette knife right now, and I'm pushing very hard, and I'm actually bending the knife a little bit. And that's to smoosh this around, get a little bit more kind of circles going on with our mist. Trying to make it misty. That's the idea here anyways. Make a little mist. Make a little mist, make a little mist, make a little mist. I've talked about this on my stream where I randomly sing in my videos, and I don't know why I do this. This is a thing that I do, and you're welcome. If you hear my cat meowing in the background, it's because there's still 15 minutes before I feed him, and he is very much like, I don't care, feed me now. If you want more pictures of my cat, please feel free to check out all of the things that have my cat in them. I love my cat. He's adorable, but he definitely always wants to be fed always. I'm just gonna do the highlights on our dragon. Just like little highlights on it, so that it looks like it's really catching the light. Now I am using my goop to thin this down so it is nice and thin. All right, maybe a little bit on this wing here. No, I like the idea that the light is like in front of that wing. Good, so we're gonna leave that. Beautiful. Solid, done, painting done. We don't need to do anything else. No, we gotta paint the trees. So I'm gonna take some more of the black and the quinacrium violet and just a smidge of the blue. Just real easy on the blue there. Too much blue, always too much blue. All right, more quinacrium violet. We still want this to be purple. I'm gonna grab a smidge of the red just to compensate for how much blue I put in, and it was not a lot of blue. All right, I think this is purple. That's good. We're gonna start paint. I'm gonna ignore the trees that I've already painted and have those in the background, and then I'm gonna have like a foreground that is in front of that. So I want to have like a little bit of land here too. Do I want the land to be like snow covered? No, I think I want like purple grassy type thing. Okay, how do we do purple grass with a palette knife? Not sure. Snow would have been easier. Thinking about making it snow. No, because then this is going to look like snow, and I don't want that to look like snow. I want it to look like light. Okay. Okay, here we go. Putting in basically black. And we're going to try to make it look like grass somehow. Eventually this will look like grass, somehow. And then we'll have a pond with like reflections. And it's gonna be cool. Let's go all the way over here, like so. There we go. And we'll go all the way over here. Maybe I'll make these rocks. Honestly, that's probably a really good idea now that I've said it. I'm not sure I can get that out of my head that these are just rocks. Because if I make these rocks, these are gonna look awesome. All right, let's do that. Let's make this like a rock forest down here. So what I'm gonna do then is I'm going to make sure I get these nice and like rockular in their shape. Yeah, rocks. Rocks, by the way, not easy to do, but if they're in the same vein as mountains. You kind of want to make tiny mountains when making rocks, which like flat mountains. You want to make tiny, flat mountains. It sounds weird because it kind of is weird, but that's okay. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this whole thing rocks. And I think it's gonna look way better as rocks. Have that come out just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And now we're gonna do like a highlight kind of color. There we go. Okay, so we've got like a little bit of white mixed in with this dark color, and it's all like not mixed. All right, and I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna make these rocks by just touching very lightly and then like pulling over and pulling down kind of concept. So here we go with the, well, I want to keep in mind where the highlights are from this light. So we're gonna start over here. Just very gently letting the canvas pull off what it wants to pull off, and not pushing down really at all on this. Just put the lights back there. There, so you can see that it's picking up the light from that. And since we have a very distinct light source, you want to keep that in mind when you're highlighting these rocks. So this way we want to make sure that it's going to highlight this side. And you got to really like keep this in mind, because now I want these to be darker on this side because they're not so much in the light, they're in the shade of these trees here. So these are going to be a little bit darker over here. You see how those rocks are darker because they're not in the sunlight? That's important. I'm just going to grab a little bit more white and do the ones that are back here. There we go. And now you can see there's this like little line of like rocks that are being all rocks. They're rocking out. I like it. I'm glad, because wasn't sure I was going to like that at first. Just clean my palette knife. There we go. All right, I need to mix more of that dark color. So I'm gonna grab more of the, I just want to show like this is how much of the blue I have, like that tiny little amount. And then the amount of quinacridone and violet I have is that much. So like when I mean like a little bit of blue, I really mean a little bit of blue. Like it's not, it's not a lot of blue that is in this. And then there's the black to darken it up. So it's nice and dark, but it's still very purpley, hopefully. I'm gonna add red, just so you guys see like the proportions that are going in. just to make it purple as opposed to straight up blue, because otherwise it would just be blue. So I'm gonna add like a really big tree, I think, right here. That's just gonna like rock out with all these rocks. It's like, hell yeah, I'm gonna rock out with you. There we go. All right. And where else do we want a tree? Let's put a tree right here. Going across like that. Trees always have like character and stories. I mean, like they go through things in life. And like you can incorporate that into your paintings for sure. So don't be afraid to like add character to your trees so that they feel more alive. You can always do that. Always, always. Trees are one of those things that like the less perfect it is, the more perfect it is, which is really hard to say. It's really hard to like describe what I mean when I say that, but like it's really true that like when you try to paint the perfect tree, it's never gonna look like a tree. Whereas if you try to paint like, I don't know, my hands are all jiggly and I don't know what I'm doing, that's probably gonna look more like a tree than anything else. Just because that's the way trees work. They're very like loosey-goosey. No two trees are the same. All the trees, even if they are like the same like family of tree, you know, like they're both poplars, they all still have character and depth and interest, and they're all different from each other. They all have their own stories and all their own things they've been through. And you know, like one of them got like bit by a beaver, you know, like, you know, what are you gonna do? Like this guy had like a bit by a beaver and that's why he's leaning over a little bit, and oh well, he's fine. You know, he made it through. The beaver moved on to another tree in another life. Maybe winter hit and it couldn't cut down this tree before winter came, and so the tree healed itself and was like, aha, take that, beaver. Giving your trees that kind of story helps to make them more unique. And you want your trees to be unique. You don't want your trees to all be the same, because otherwise they won't look like trees. You know, because real life trees, they go through stories, they go through things. Heck, some of them go through trauma. There's a picture I remember seeing from Mount St. Helens when it exploded, and a bunch of the trees are like all like leaning like away from the mountain from when it exploded. But like they survived, like some of them survived if they're a certain distance away. And you can see that like that mountain had an effect on all of those trees. A mountain. It was not a mountain. It was definitely a volcano. But, you know, Mount St. Helens. That's a thing. If you don't believe me, feel free to look that up. Random facts brought to you by BSW. Not just on stream, also on YouTube. Who knew? You can't stop the facts. But there's a lot of different things that are like that, where you can kind of experience how nature affects things. I know that in a lot of the coastal areas, the trees will grow like reflective of the predominant wind patterns. So they'll have like a lean in them, either towards the ocean or away from it, depending on the predominant winds, usually away from it. But you can actually like see that. And I know that some of the Great Lakes, the trees actually grow towards it because the forest is so dense on the edges that the only place that there's light is where the lake is, so they grow towards the lake. You know, that kind of stuff. Take note of when you're, you know, looking around at things, and so that when you do your paintings, they have that kind of character, that kind of real life interactions that, you know, the real world has. Mind you, if you're in a super dense forest, that kind of stuff does not matter like that here. Also, this is a fantasy forest, so again, like, the more unreal probably the better, but, you know, I still like to keep those things in mind because it helps to make the trees feel more real, even if they are purple, for example, which trees are not generally purple. Generally. There is that one rainbow tree, and there's also purple heart, which also is kind of purple, so if you guys have never heard of purple heart, it's amazing. It's amazing wood. Looks hella cool. Harefoot is a wood streamer who works with purple heart on occasion, and it's so cool. Because it can like oxidize into like a green as well, which is like, what? Those freaking mine. Nice little low branch right there. Because why not? There we go. Another one coming out from here. Because sometimes trees have like little baby trees that like grow off of them. You guys ever seen that? Little baby trees that grow off of the big tree. You're like, whoa, baby tree. That's what that guy is. And they always have little branches. They're just starting their life. Little baby trees. Do I want to do any more? No, I think we're good. Okay. Let's not get carried away with our not palette knifing, because we get to get carried away with palette knifing right now. So I'm gonna vary these colors a whole bunch, trying to stay as purple as possible. So I've got quinacridone violet, and I've got alizarin crimson, and I've got white on here. That's like the same like background purple. I've got all of those mixed on my palette knife here, and we're gonna see what color this turned out over here. Yeah. There we go. So you can see all those colors really coming out and shining and playing together, doing their thing. Doing their thing. I think we need a little bit more of the everything. A little bit more of everything. And a little white. Alright. See, so it's all like a different color. So it feels like a different tree. So that's what I'm saying. You want to have all these varieties. All these spice of life kind of things happening in your trees. And white. Smidge of white. Oh yeah. Alright, let's grab it. I'm going to come over and add more white to these, I think, later, so that they reflect the light that's coming in from that. There we go. Go. And I need to mix more. I always forget how much of this I actually use when I do these things. I'm always like, yeah, that little bit will be enough. It's not. When using a palette knife, you always need more than you think. Just like always, you need more than you think. Up here. I think I'm just going to have one that comes across like this and pretend there's a branch there, even though I don't see it. That's okay. Have it go across anyways. How would I do anyways? Okay, let's add some white highlights on the ones that are more in the sunlight. Like this one. And this one. See? And then we'll keep the other ones dark. Just highlight the ones that are more in the sunlight. There. Oh, this has got some real magical energies going on, and I'm really, really liking it. Okay, we need to have some reflections that we don't currently have. So I'm going to try very hard to pull down some dark reflections, and then we're going to come across and make it look like a pond. I want it to be like a very still pond. So I need like a lot of this kind of reflections. There we go. A little bit more to be like the tree, and also this tree, right? Okay, I think we got that sorted. And I'm just gonna grab a little bit of white with a little bit of the goop, mix that thoroughly, and just grab a tiny, tiny bit of it and push really, really hard as you go around the edge of these boulders. Oh, I ran out of paint. Ran out of paint again. I gotta paint a lot here. I think it's just picking up the black. And the black is like way stronger than the white because there's so much of it. But there we go. And I'm just gonna come in and clean that up a little bit. There. So now we have that nice line going across that really makes it look like water. And there we have our misty, magical forest dragon done with a palette knife mostly. Palette knife only challenge. Palette knife mostly challenge. Oh, I didn't highlight the trees. Don't forget to highlight the trees. Now, in this case, you want to keep in mind where the light is. So the light is coming from here. So these trees are going to be highlighted on this side. Very gently. Whoosh. Whoosh. This one's not very highlighted well because it's very far from the light, and that's good. And then these ones get highlighted on the other side, which I am not dominant. So we'll be very gentle. Very gentle, very gentle. There, we almost got it. Some people will flip their canvas around to do this, which is fine. You can do that if you'd like. I have a little bit more on here, and I want this one to be brighter than the other one. There we go. There. Just the smidgiest of highlight on that guy. These guys have more highlights. And it's done. I hope you guys have been enjoying these Dragon in the Woods and also my palette knife challenges. I know I have. We're almost at a year of doing palette knife challenges monthly. So I don't know if we'll continue doing this after the first year. But I had a lot of fun with these dragons. I know that if a certain Amber watches these videos, she's gonna love these. If you are watching it, hi Amber. For everyone who's not Amber, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys too. I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely day, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this painting and feel inspired by this highlighted magical dragon. And I'd like to say a quick thank you to all of my Patreon supporters who have been diligently making sure that I can continue to keep doing this. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And I want you guys all to know, not just my Patreons, but everyone to know that you are loved, you deserve to be loved, and I will catch you next week. Mwah!